AITA for putting a tree net to stop any fruits from going onto my neighbor's yard. It advised to add this in too. We started the net when we had a medical bill come up and needed to work on paying it off. I'm being advised to edit this in. The box of fruit was for fruit that was prepped in some way and what I was asked about. My wife was asked for the fruit as a whole. It was when he came to me that he asked about the fruits that were prepared. I thought it was implied because of how the topic differences between me and my wife. I'm putting it next to the part one talking on. I'm sorry for not making that clear. Hi, I inherited a house from my dad from his passing a few years ago. His house came with the guava tree on the yard. The tree has been there for a good portion of my teen years and is special to me. Me and my wife were one day thinking of ways for extra income and realized we could literally sell off the fruit. Got the permit and started to prepare guava in different ways. For reference, I sell the fruit whole, splice and put into cups, candied, etc. We realized that while the branches weren't exactly hanging over our neighbor's lawn, sometimes guava would either fall over or buck against the fence at the right angle and end up over there. So, me and my wife purchased a tree fruit net for the side of the tree that was closer to the neighbor's yard. Since then, I don't think any fruit fell to their yard, which is good. What led me here today is that last week while my wife was out on the lawn, the neighbor's kid approached her and asked what happened to the fruits. My wife explained that we keep the fruits in a net so that we keep... Apparently the kid ran off and came back with their dad, who asked my wife the same thing. She explained again, and, from what she said, the father looked like he took it personally. Asked if we thought he was stealing, and my wife explained no, we didn't think that. We just want to maximize the fruit that falls from our tree since we do use it for some profit. Today the same neighbor knocked on the door and I answered. He asked if we could talk about the fruit tree situation. He said that he thinks it's selfish how my father would freely let the fruits fall wherever, but now that I'm here I'm hoarding the fruit. I explained that the tree is my property, so whatever comes from the tree is also my property. I said he could buy guava off us if he wanted, but he looked more upset that I would even recommend that. I'm glad his kid liked the fruit, but now that I'm making money off this I can't just let that happen freely. He called me selfish again, and that I could at least spare a few. I said again he could buy some off me if he wanted. I offered a box for $5. Now, every time we see him around, he doesn't smile at us, which I guess is expected, but now they let the dog poop on our lawn and keeps telling his kid loudly that the neighbors killed the fruit fairy. Some of the neighbors are still cool with us, but it's like we made an enemy from him, and I'm feeling slightly guilty for the kid. First comment, yeah. So because it was free before, since no one was actually using the fruit, he should continue to have it free. Neighbor just have to put a fruit tree in his backyard, and he'll have free fruits. NTA hard. If it wasn't killing the tree, I would cut the branches just for that. I honestly am on the other fence. My neighbor have a fruit tree that non-stop drop fruits between my fence and my garage that end up rotting because no one picked them up. Even the one that drop at his house aren't taken. But he don't care and won't do anything about it. Since it's on his property, I have nothing I can do when I ask the city. It's his tree. So back on topic. When you make a living out of something or just making money out of something, starting to give away free just because it used to be free is not the way to go. Words of mouth is strong. If op lose fruits because they rot and aren't sold, that's something else. But if he could just have more and still be able to sell all of them without a loss, why should he cut his profit just for someone else that can pay for them too? If he'd get it for free, why not the other neighbor? Just because the tree isn't on the right place in the backyard, where does it end? Second comment, AITA. Our pump blew out and my neighbor offered to connect his garden hose to ours and let us pump from his pipe off his well for a few days and left the hoses across the road to do it. When the son knocked on my door and asked for a ride into town for court, I said to give me 5 minutes. Dude spray painted a warning into the road when people on ATVs kept speeding past because he didn't want either of our animals getting hit. You don't need a good relationship with your neighbors, but it's usually nice to have one. My man, you put a net up to score 20 extra fruit a month and didn't think, hey, so we decided to sell the fruit for some extra money. But if you want, we can drop a few off each week for your son since he loves them so much as an option and insisted the $5 was better. The fallout of this is all you, bro, unfortunately. You can salvage this if you go over with like a half dozen and tell him you're sorry you put some profit ahead of your neighbors and that you'll make an effort to drop some off each week for the kid, or he can come knock and get some if he wants them. Third comment, NTA. The entitlement in the thread is insane. Don't stress and do not cave and give anything for free, especially since they decided to act childish as a response. Do not reward that. Your neighbor made things petty, not you. There was nothing stopping your neighbor from using the seeds from previous fruit he had access to grow his own. He's just mad he isn't getting a handout anymore, and if his kid is so sad he can actually parent the child and provide his own solution at his own cost. His response was to teach the kid if someone tells you no, then retaliate aggressively until they do what you want, bullying. Is that a lesson you would like to be part of? The kid and the dad need to learn you don't always get what you want because you complained loudly enough. That's not how life works. The people saying neighborly relationships can have that conversation with your neighbor. He came over and demanded after being told no multiple times. Maybe the people calling you petty should be looking at the man who retaliated with dog asset. Looks like a hell of a lot more pettiness to me. You're fine up. Fling that asset back over his fence and raise the price of your fruit every time he asks for it for free on principle. The nerve of some people to condone your neighbor bullying you. Fourth comment. Here's something I haven't seen mentioned. What was the neighbor's relationship to the op's dad? It's possible that they were close in the quiet way that older guys get, and the free fruit, while just fruit to the op was a treasured memory of the good relationship between the two in the neighbor's eyes. Is the op within his rights? Sure, but he might have hurt the neighbor by taking away a social link, and that could be why the reprisal of the K9 landmines. Basically, I don't care what you were to my dad. This guy might have been a friend that's been stripped of that tie, and even the opportunity to grieve in a small way. And the well, I can sell you some no matter the price, was insulting because it took something your dad shared in either a friendly or at least neutral way and turned it Scrooge late. And doing it cheaper actually makes it a bit worse by saying I will not be generous enough to not involve money at any price. Here's what I'd do, not that anyone asked take down the nets one. They're bad for birds, especially small songbirds get tangled, get strangled, or wind up with broken wings legs. Scoop the poop and bag it for disposal. Say nothing else about it right now. Get them a moderate-sized box and put a reasonable amount of guava in, walk it over, knock on the door and say I've been doing some thinking. The fruit fairy left this, and I'd like to meet up and us talk about things. We got off to a less than neighborly start. It's been hard, losing dad, and now the medical stuff ... It's made me cranky and a bit thoughtless. I'd rather be neighbors and friends than enemies. That being said, I've bagged and trashed the poo, and I'm asking if we could find an alternative. Me being me, I'd even sprout him a guava tree myself, tell him how to care for it until it matures enough to set fruit. Fifth comment. This sounds like a big town kid moved into a small town vibe. Look, you're not legally the but morally you absolutely are. I'd be willing to bet your father probably let them collect as much fruit as they pleased, if he even noticed, and it had a very friendly, caring, neighborly vibe about it. You coming in with the prophetized system and collecting 100% of the fruit from the tree drove a giant wedge in that vibe. By going from amazing down to acceptable, you have ruined that energy, and a lot of the more friendly neighbors will band together in anger. Now, I do think your neighbor's responses did escalate too far. Not smiling is 100% justified. I'd even say scowling is. Letting a dog poop on your lawn, 100% justified. Side burn people who think their lawn is too special to be pooped on by a dog. As long as they pick it up, you have no argument. Stop being pretentious. Telling other kids you killed the fruit fairy? That's too far. Twisted and demented response. He should be able to explain that sometimes people don't feel like sharing things that they don't have to. And we might not think it's nice, but we do have to accept it. Immature response by him.